Hello everyone, just a new self-care tip from me today, and that is to get sensible sun exposure in order to maximise your vitamin D intake. So although we are at the height of winter over here, I just wanted to talk about this because vitamin D has been such a hot topic recently in terms of your immune health, and obviously we talk a lot about how the best way to get a good dose of vitamin D is to have adequate exposure to the sun, but obviously that can be quite confusing for some, because the other hot topic I would say over recent years has been how to protect your skin from the sun and kind of sensible sun exposure, and how we don't want to risk damaging our skin as that can pose a whole host of other symptoms. So I just wanted to talk through this topic a little bit to try and get a little bit of clarity and to help people kind of working towards the right direction of sensible sun exposure but also getting enough vitamin D. So we do know that sun exposure is the best way to get your vitamin D, so I just wanted to explain a little bit as to how you could go about doing that. So basically we rely on a certain type of wavelength from the sun's rays in order to be able to make vitamin D. So the wavelength is a particular length, and this means that it only occurs at certain times of the year in most countries. Over here in the UK, that is tends to be between April and October. So basically it's when the sun is highest in the sky, that's when you're most likely to get that good quality wavelength in order to make your vitamin D. Also, to help keep you right, it is the position of the sun as well. So early in the morning or late at night, even in the summer, the sunlight wouldn't be adequate for us to produce vitamin D. So it is kind of the peak sun hours, if you like. So usually between kind of 11 and 2, again when the sun is highest in the sky, and that is when we are able to utilise that sunlight in order to make your vitamin D. So that's the first thing to look out for. But the second thing is that it needs to obviously radiate onto your skin in order to initiate that production. So that means that through windows and things, obviously it won't work, and also if your skin is covered up, and that can either be by clothing or sunscreen. So we need to be cautious with that, but again it goes back to trying to be sensible with it because we don't want to risk burning our skin. And the research does suggest that you don't need to tan, you don't need to burn or even tan in order to make vitamin D. So it doesn't need to be that extensive, but it needs to be extensive enough for the production. So it's a difficult thing to measure, and I don't expect that you will be able to measure it, but the guidelines are that probably a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes a day in this peak sun, and showing a good amount of skin. So again, the research suggests that probably just your face wouldn't be sufficient. We're looking to get arms and legs, so a bigger surface area of your skin out and exposed to the sun. Obviously if you expose larger areas of skin, so your back or your stomach, if you're able to have a proper sunbathing session, then you're more likely to produce more. But again, we don't want to do it for long enough that you risk burning, and the same applies for your sunscreen. So now we're kind of being recommended against the total sun blocks when we're conscious of vitamin D, that is. So again, we might not want to use total sun block if we're conscious of trying to get enough vitamin D. That is, of course, unless you're out for longer periods of time in the sun, and then of course protecting our skin is the most important. But in terms of the sunscreen, try to use lower factors or not use it at all if you're just aiming to get that vitamin D exposure, so just out for a short time. In terms of the length of time, this is really variable, and I can't give you a clear-cut answer. And again, this is dependent on the colour of your skin. So the amount of pigmentation in your skin also has a bearing on how quickly and how easily you're able to produce vitamin D. So for very pale skin tones, it's been estimated in research that people can produce quite an adequate amount of vitamin D in as little as 10 or 15 minutes, whereas if you've got a much darker skin tone, then it could take up to an hour or two. But again, we need to be careful that we aren't risking our skin being damaged in the sun. So I hope that just helps to give you some idea of what you can do, and just so we can kind of keep it top of mind about how important it is to get some sensible sun exposure as the warmer and sunnier days creep back.